Hello, welcome to the channel. Welcome to this particular video. My name is Will, and what this video is going to focus on is a very brief demonstration on how you can invoke I/O functionality with the Universal Windows project to sort of achieve the serialization, the storing and retrieval of data from disk. So without much further ado, we're going to jump straight into this. This is going to be a kind of a more shorter form video, maybe like 5-10 minutes, right, as opposed to some of my like hour-long workshops. So do let me know what you think about this format. I might make it more of a thing on the channel. So over here, I have a little application that I created. It's some sort of a password manager, very simple stuff. Let's say, for example, let's just click on this one here, serial. So obviously it's quite an arbitrary name, but as you can see, when I click serial, let's just assume it's a domain. Now this is not 100%, like working correctly, 100% out the box, because obviously we have this .txt suffix. If it was a true domain, it will have like .co.uk.com. But remember, this is just a sort of proof of concept. But anyway, let's just assume this is the domain name of our website, and we want to store the password, say Cocoa Pops. And again, this could have some sort of encryption. So I could use a password box so you don't expose the field, but just a simple text box. As you can see, we have our domain and password. Have to use our imaginations a little bit. Now let's say we have another website. Let's just write something in as a placeholder. Let's just say my site 321, and let's just say we want to store the password. I'll say my pw 321 as in my password. Gonna go ahead and save that. Okay, sweetness. So as you can see, if I just quickly scroll, actually I don't need to scroll because there's not enough entries, but my site 321 is over here. Just gonna click that. Sorry for there are a few bugs that need to be ironed out, but for the most part, what you can see here is my site 321.txt and my pw321. Now things are going to make a little bit more sense as we go through this, but I'm going to actually close this. I'm going to load the Visual Studio session because it is running in debug, or rather it's running out of Visual Studio, but I'm running it without debugging in this particular case. And as we can see, I can find it. My site 321 is already present here in the list of domains, as you can see. As I have booted up the application, the data has been stored. And if I click my site 321.txt, you can see my pw321, the password and domain. So how do we achieve this? How do we use Universal Windows to store and retrieve data? Because if any of you are familiar with Win32 development and UWP development, you'll know that the UWP environment is somewhat sandboxed, in that there are certain functionalities you either have to declare or you just don't have access to for security reasons. One of which is actually the way I'm not going to really talk about how the UI came to be, and that might be in a future video. But what I'm going to draw your attention to is that you need a class that deals with the serialization itself. I have a class under the models folder called serialized text files rather. I'm going to just click that. And so when we want to save the data, I have this function called save metadata. Don't be too thrown off by the name. Any name for the function will do. Save data, whichever you may feel. The key to this is to use the storage folder namespace. So under the windows.storage namespace rather, we have the storage folder class, and the description says it manages folders and their contents and provides information about them. You want to go ahead and construct this as I've done here. I've gone ahead and constructed this as such: Windows storage application data, current local folder being the directory, the target directory of the folder that we want to basically store the text file that will have the information we want. Then we're going to create a file. It's going to be windows.storage.storage file, and you want to make sure the encompassing functionality is async. We want to declare it an async function, and that way, if we use the await keyword here, we can then succeed this by storage folder create file async. Okay, create file async, and in the constructor we want to pass file name, which is actually the the file path. Oh, sorry, excuse me, the file name of the file that you want to create. I think I just right clicked there on accident. And you also want to pass, let me just see what the type is, this create collisions option. And I've gone ahead and selected replace existing in an enumerated list. And what that simply does, replace the existing item in if the file or folder already exists. Kind of simple stuff, really. And in local scope, I'm adding my file name to a list, but this is not really important for the IO side of things. I think it's quite a good time to mention, I do have this on GitHub. This very version of the application is on my GitHub. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to use it. The source code for your own learning or your own usage, there's no license on that. It's just all purely there, so I'll leave the link in the description. And so this IO stuff isn't too involved, actually. It's actually quite a fairly straightforward process. Over here, I have await, Windows storage file IO, append text async. I'm kind of scared that it's a bit hard to read text. I'm going to zoom in just by one notch. Append text async. So what this does, it appends the text. So now we've specified the destination folder. We specified the file that we want to create or replace. Now we need the actual contents of the text to go to the text file. And what we pass into this append text async is the target file and the contents that we want to append. So over here, the file is the file name, which you're going to pass via your own application. It could be hard-coded. You might get the user to select, okay? And the password, so in my case, when I wrote my site in the mypw321, the password will be mypw321 as a text, as a string type, and I'm just passing it into this constructor. And that's all you got to do. It's as simple as that. Loading is fairly straightforward. In as much as we did for the saving, is kind of the reverse. No, once you specify this storage folder, which looks at a directory, in this case, the current local folder directory, we'll call get file async. It will look for the files in this directory, and then it will return them. Okay, so it will return this get files async, returns the file, all the files from storage folder, as you can see here. And storage folder looks at the local folder directory, which I've specified for Windows Storage Application Data Current Local Folder. And once we've returned those files, it's just a case of using a loop and adding all the necessary information to into memory. So over here, I'm looping through all of the files that we've stored in file name ilist, as you can see here, which we obtain from this line. And then I'm basically saying I'm gonna add file, so that's file from here, the path, name, and also the contents itself. So that's going to be done on this line. So I wrote here this file password list. So I have a list here, a list of string, and what I'm adding, so it has to be a string item. And I have the await keyword, Windows storage file IO, read text async. So I'm reading the text inside the file, and I'm returning that string, adding it to my list. And then from this list, I can then populate I can then construct the visual pertaining to the passwords and the domain. So it's that simple, really. So again, just to summarize everything, the key to this sort of file I/O utilization in UWP is to use the Windows storage folder. I'll see if I can leave a link in the description to the MSDN. This is just a really quick run through. Just looking at the time, it's just gone over 10 minutes, which is not too bad. And yeah, it's just about it. Again, I glossed over the user interface stuff and how I kind of made it work in that regard, because I really just want to focus on the business logic here. Just a quick little snippet of information to hopefully help you on whatever you're coding, if you may need this sort of functionality. Thanks for watching this video, and I bid you a great day. Thanks for watching once again. Bye bye.